And honestly, we've had some problems in the kitchen because this edition of Title Pie is a bit bittersweet. Get it? Bittersweet. And the pie. Today, Mississippi Mud, because Brew is his favorite pie, it's missing a large slice that was formerly reserved for the Lakers.
Can I make
It's
a
really
point?
just a giant brownie, but
Yeah.
it's delicious.
Can I just
Honestly,
make
it
a
doesn't
point?
look,
It's
it
delicious.
tastes great.
It's not really in the spirit of pies. It's just it's more cookie cake brownie.
Yeah.
I don't want.
than
I asked
anything.
for a classic pie.
I understand, but we're not. Listen, if America doesn't know, these late night basketball games very often drive Brew to a local, I won't say where, but dining establishment, and Brew's not a drinker. So he's sitting at the bar by himself eating brownie, what are they, brownie explosions?
Brownie obsession.
Eating brownie obsessions.
Brownie, ice cream, hot fudge,
Till
caramel.
midnight.
I gotta stay awake. Sometimes it's hard to stay awake at home at midnight watching the game.
And then at the next day,
2 a.m. the kitchen is cooking up a brownie.
At this place I go.
Time for the pie. 1%. Sorry, Ramsey. It's the New York
That's
Knicks.
too low. Sorry, that's not
DraftKings agrees with me for the record.
Well, when DraftKings...
They're about 90 to 1. Wilds, pick what you want to do here. You want to let me explain the pie, or you want to defend a team that you don't actually believe in?
I thought we were doing more banter. I'm sorry.
Okay. Knicks at 1%. I can applaud them for moving on to round 2. But if we all universally an hour ago said, great job, Jalen Brunson, you're a superstar, you had a great 5-man lineup, you're drawing dead in round 2, then what about round 3 against Brew's Cleveland Cavaliers, and in round 4 against who knows?
Yeah.
1%. 2%. Houston Rockets. Well, I don't know what's the what about. It went down. They're down to 2%. Here's why they deserve 2%. If they win tonight, they'll be in a coin flip game at home for Game 7, and I think, maybe I'm wrong, I think if they were to get to round 2 and play the Timberwolves, we'd all give them a shot in that series, a real shot in that series. 2% is not a big percentage. There's only 10 teams left in the playoffs. If you want either one of them to have 0%, barking up the wrong pie
2%.
tree.
I think that's fair.
I'm just baffled because one team, the Knicks are alive.
They've advanced.
Yeah, the Knicks are definitely
Rockets-
advanced. The Rockets are about
alive.
10 hours from death.
We don't know that.
We don't know
that.
Okay.
3%. The Pacers. I hope that makes you happy.
That
They've
does make
advanced.
sense.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The Pacers, here's what the Pacers have that I think is a little underrated. An identity. They know exactly who they want to be and what they want to do. They also have a bit of an edge. Now, they're going to be without maybe one of their most vocal fans the rest of the way, in Tyrese Halliburton's dad, who by the way, bonus take within the pie, I don't think he would have gotten such a harsh punishment from the team if he didn't do that interview afterwards where he's like, I wasn't looking at Giannis, I was looking through Giannis.
I believe that.
I didn't.
Right.
I think
Stop
the fact
talking
that,
trash.
Right, the fact that he
Right.
seemed really emboldened, they were like, all right, buddy, you can't come to the games.
Good point.
4%, Bruce Clippers. They
They're
stay.
Wilds' is Clippers.
They're okay.
I'll take 'em.
That side of the table's Clippers. They're not my Clippers. We'll get to their performance last night here in about 15 minutes. They're at 4% because even if they get through a Game 7 in Denver, which I don't think they will, but even if they do, a rested, ready Oklahoma City team, when Oklahoma City has more depth and the best player in the series and all of that, I just think they're in real trouble. The Warriors, up to 5%. That is one of their larger slices of the pie. I think it is critical for them, absolutely critical, they win tonight. Not because they can't win on Sunday, but because I think they would benefit greatly from a couple extra days off rather than having to go right into the series. And a Game 7 on the road against this Rockets team with Dylan Brooks just battering at Steph Curry's thumb the whole time. Not good for anybody. Up to 6%, the Minnesota Timberwolves, fresh off a dominating performance. Now, again, folks that are out there saying, put an asterisk on it, LeBron hurt his knee, I understand what you're saying, but still. I think the Timberwolves.
Is anybody saying that?
Not yet,
It's out there.
Someone's got to
Anthony Edwards, the fact that they were able to win that Game 5, despite Ant not playing, not shooting well, and them going 7 of 47 from 3, and that they got through round 1 totally unscathed injury-wise, really puts them in a good position no matter who they're playing in round 2. All right, now to, I think, the realest of the contenders, or the bigger section. I'm giving Denver 7%.
Wow. A believer in that.
Yeah, because Jokic is still obviously Jokic. Playoff Jamal has popped up. The fact that they have not only do they not miss a beat because of firing Michael Malone, they seem to be, rallying, or they're now 6-3 under Adelman. And Michael, they would have dropped in our last edition of the Pie. We didn't do it last week, when it looked like, wait, is Michael Porter Jr. really hurt? I know he didn't play great last night, but he's been able to play throughout this series, so they're up to 7%. Up to their biggest slice of the pie yet, bruised Cavs, 15%.
Right.
Just beat a team by 120 points in round 1. They also got through round 1. I don't want to say unscathed. I know Garland missed time, but they look like they're going to be healthy going into round 2. They also know who they are, and underrated, something we talk about all the time, they've had their playoff lumps. Now, they haven't been to a conference finals, but you know what I mean? This core group's been together. And now, the 2 top dogs all year, the 2 Vegas favorites all year, staying steady. Not a larger slice, but the same slice they had last time we did it, at 27% the Boston Celtics. I was ready to make this slice larger, but I have too much respect for Chris Broussard's basketball analysis. When he comes out and says they're not even making the finals, I take notice. I'm like, oh, what is he seeing in the Cavs that I'm not? Also, Drew Holiday is probably fine. You know what I mean? It's probably just precautionary, but they, I think, need him in order to defend their title, as deep as they are, and as much as you love Pritchard and Hauser and their bench. I think Drew is very important, particularly if they were to be in NBA Finals against Shea or whomever. So they're at 27%, and then up to 30%, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who quite simply have been the best team in the league from the first day of the season to right now. And I think Brew did as well. The Lakers might present a unique problem for them. Well, that problem's not going to come up because the Lakers aren't on the pie, because the Lakers season is over. That is the latest edition, Brew, of Title Pie.
Not a bad pie. This is not my major take, but I do need to bring it out because we're selling these new Cowboy Brew
on the website.
Buttons, so
It does work.
Yeah.
That's right. The Cavs deserve a bigger slice. You can have Boston as the favorite in the East. I get it. But I would give the Cavs a little bit of bigger slice, and obviously Boston a little bit smaller.
Okay.
All right? And OKC, I would make theirs smaller too.
Wow.
Because here's why, and you're right. Like, I don't know how, some people would, but I think it's kind of undeniable that the Lakers would have given them problems. We saw it, I get it, it was 2 regular season games. OKC had sewn everything up, but still, the Lakers, just a matchup problem for them. But remember, OKC's record against the top teams in the West was around 500.
Yep.
So I think they're going to have a little more trouble than we say. And I tell you, whoever gets out of this Denver Clippers series, I think will give them some trouble. And either team this is the case. But particularly with the Clippers, experience. They have loads of experience, and obviously OKC doesn't. So that'd be an interesting dynamic. But what I'm saying, Nick, mainly is I want the Timberwolves. I'm putting them ahead of Denver. So I'm having the Timberwolves as the second favorite, if you will, in the Western Conference. And here's why. One, again, they're definitely advancing. Denver may not advance, so I bring that into the equation. But secondly, of course, Minnesota beat them last year in the playoffs, including that Game 7 in Denver. And they were 4-0 against them this year. They've beaten Denver 6 straight times. They are just a tough matchup for the Nuggets. So I think, and I think that Nuggets team, even though they're playing well under Adelman, I think last year's Nuggets team was better than this year's Nuggets team. So I think Minnesota, them and Denver, assuming they met each other to be the conference finals, I would go with Minnesota in that. So that's why I would move Minnesota ahead of Denver.
I understand that. I guess maybe I'm looking at it. I think maybe I'd look at it a little differently if they were scheduled to play in this coming round, play each other, as opposed to, looking at them holistically versus the whole league. I also do think that, and this happened last year with Minnesota, where Minnesota, when they are winning, looks like I think a lot of people after they clipped the Nuggets last year were like, that team can win the title, and then they were done in relatively short order. They have been, now maybe this is just who they are now. They're 20-5 or 21-5 in their last 25 or 26 games with a bunch of blowouts. When they are rolling, they look unbelievable. They are also prone to dry spells, if you will, and some of that has to do with Ant. If Ant is not seeing the floor the way he was in this series, where he had half as many 8+ assist games in this series as he did all regular season, which kind of keeps their offense, even when he's not shooting well, afloat. My Nuggets, maybe it's just Nuggets PTSD from the last couple years of them against the Lakers in the playoffs. I just think that Murray looking the way he did a couple games ago, with Joker just playing.
Early last night he looked great, and then he kind of...
Correct. I think that they still have a gear that, even though, again, I know Minnesota beat them in a Game 7 in Denver last year, I still think the Nuggets' A-plus gear is one of the only A-plus gears that can go toe-to-toe with Boston or OKC or whomever when they're in their A-plus gear.
Let me ask you this. I bet you agree with this. I think Minnesota has a better chance of beating Golden State or Houston than Denver does of beating OKC.
I agree with that.
Round. Yeah, so
that part is a very fair point. That certainly Minnesota deserves a larger slice of conference finals pie. You know what I mean? I do agree. They are more likely to make the conference finals, but I just can't see, maybe I'm wrong, I can't see Minnesota winning all 4 rounds this year. I could see Denver doing it. And that's just based off the power of Joker. Go ahead.
I also believe in the power of Joker before I do mine. The playoffs have been so close. The buzzer beater dunk, Jalen Brunson last night. I think when everything is on a razor's edge, when your coach is a rookie coach in the playoff for the first time, it'll cost you a game, and
that's fair.
That'll end up dropping Denver. Even though Joker's great, Luka and LeBron are great, but neither of those guys can we get a breather? Gabe's around here for a
and
second.
Just looking at the rest of it, everyone else has a coach that we feel great about. You know what I mean? Literally every other team on that list has a coach that is either proven to be excellent or was a coach of the year finalist this year, or a long-standing guy like Tibbs.
Even not even a rookie coach, just a guy who came in 2 weeks ago. I think it's going to be
that's fair.
I would do that differently.
The flip side is, just real quick, is he actually the coach, or are the Nuggets doing what you've always wanted teams to do, which is their coach is actually Nikola Jokic, in which case they have a super experienced coach?
That's interesting.
But sorry, go ahead.
I think I'm going to flip Celtics and Thunder. And Brew, you had a good point, and I actually had a graphic for it when you were talking about the next round with the Knicks. You said if the Knicks could get to 6 games, that would be a huge win. I'm like, you know what? Factually, you're correct, because Jason Tatum and Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown do not even get to see a 6th game. They've gone 5 consecutive series, just having it be done in 4 or 5. So that would be, I don't know, I'd consider it a loss if we saw a Game 6. So why don't they ever force a Game 6? They just don't lose back-to-back games. Their longest winning streak all year was 2 games, so their best record after loss is 20-2. They're never going to rattle off hit a real dry spell. And finally, Jason Tatum is taking the leap. We're going to have some real interesting conversations once he wins Finals MVP on who the best player is, as everyone else is sitting at home. He's averaging 32 points, almost 9 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 48%, and threes at 39% versus all the remaining Eastern powerhouse.
So you put, I think you put, this is great. Do you want them to take the Thunder slice, or do you want them to have half the pie? Because you said one thing, Bar says the other. I think you want them to have half the pie.
I think I want them to eat up the entire Thunder slice.
Well, that would be more.
Sometimes,
than
honestly,
57%.
it's fluid.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll give them half.
But I want to go back to the last thing you said, because this is where I feel like you're a bad teammate.
How good Tatum is?
You go so over the top that it puts Brew or I in a position where we almost have no choice but to appear to be haters. So let me just ask you this question, because you just said we're going to have a real conversation about who the, quote, best player in the league is when Tatum wins finals MVP.
Are we not going to have that?
Hold on.
Having it right now.
Hold on. So I just have a question for you as the Tatum guy. Do you think Jason Tatum is better than Giannis?
No, it's in the conversation.
Do you
I think it's a conversation.
Do you think Jason Tatum is better than Giannis? I'm asking you who you think. There's no conversation. It's just your opinion.
That's a good. First of all, it's a good conversation to have. So I appreciate you bringing it up. As you know, I put a real value on winning, and if I see, and one of the real images burned in my mind is Giannis with the Finals MVP and the trophy. Now, Giannis has been out in the first round three consecutive years.
And the last time he made it out of the first round, who beat him? Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum head-to-head.
Yeah. So who's
That's
better?
That's a great point.
So
that is a great
point. So who's better to you?
I don't know. I think it's a good conversation. But you guys have made some good points that Tatum.
This is why.
This is what I think the conversation is going to be.
I'm not asking for a conversation. I'm asking Kevin Wild's player rankings. Who's better, Giannis or Tatum? Right now, this moment.
Oh, Giannis is right now.
Okay.
I said we're going to have, for the record, we're going to have some very interesting conversations once he wins Finals MVP.
And so
that hasn't happened yet.
No, I understand that. But right now, Giannis is better, but you think Tatum might be in a few weeks.
It'll be an interesting conversation.
I hate
certainly.
Giannis,
I really like Giannis a lot. I'm a Giannis guy.
Gianna, again, just
a back-to-back champion?
That's all we need.
What are we looking at?
We'll be interested.
I don't know. Was Isaiah Thomas better than Michael Jordan? Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.